Fellow Toastmasters, some of you have been around for a while, and you recall a great speech by Yolanda that centered around diamonds. This one's got a little bit of a twist. I asked you, are diamonds a girl's best friends? Are they? Let's find out. But first off, let's start with some diamond fun facts. Diamonds are the hardest naturally occurring substance on this planet. They are rated at a Mohs scale of 10. What is a Mohs scale? Mohs scale just measures hardness. The definition of Mohs 10 is the hardness of a diamond. So it's pretty simple to correlate the two. Diamond has a very high melting and boiling point. Melts at 6,400 degrees Fahrenheit, boils at 8,700 degrees Fahrenheit. And to give you a comparison of how hot that is, the surface of the sun is 9,900 degrees Fahrenheit. So diamond both boils and melts at very, very high temperatures. Most diamonds are about 3 million years old, some are a little bit younger. For comparison, the Earth is only 4.5 billion years old. So diamonds have been around longer than half of the amount of time that the Earth has been around. Only 20% of diamonds that are found in caves or earth actually make it to jewelry. The rest of them are not good enough to be jewelry, so they end up in grindstones, drill bits, lathes. They're used in industrial manufacturing. Diamonds initially had other purposes. More of that later on. But the first record of a man giving a woman a diamond is in 1477 by the Archduke of Austria to Mary of Burgundy. That's the very first record of a man giving a woman a diamond. I'm sure there were others before, but they were probably not recorded like this one was, because it was a big deal. Diamonds are created about 100 miles below the surface of the Earth, which when you think that about the fact that the Earth is 4,000 miles, that's very close to the surface. But when you think about the fact that we're only about 6 feet tall, 100 miles down is a lot. So how do they come up to the surface? Volcanic activity. And this can happen anywhere in the world, as we'll see later on. Diamonds can be any color. However, we, humans, girls, boys, men, have been programmed to only like the colorless, but they exist in all kinds of different colors. They pretty much, whoops, did I just do that? Yes. All the way from yellow to black, red, you name it. Diamonds in history. As I was saying before, diamonds had other uses before. In 4th century BC, they were used as bargaining power to pay and buy goods. Poems were written about them in the 1st century. So even back in the 1st century, their beauty was something that people appreciated. You only write poems about something that you appreciate. This happened in the 1st century. By the 1400s, diamonds started to make their way into jewelry and into fashion. Prior to that, only royalty wore diamonds, but there was more and more diamonds were being discovered. The good thing about diamonds, most diamonds that have ever been mined are still intact today. So as more diamonds are mined, more people have access to diamonds. So by the 1400s, general population, granted rich, started to wear diamonds. By the 1700s, mines in Brazil started producing diamonds. For 150 years, most of the diamonds in the world came from Brazil. However, big twist here. In the late 1800s, there were diamond mines discovered in Africa, South Africa. And this created a demand for them because now they were more available and people started seeing their friends with them. So the elite in both Europe and in the States started wearing diamonds, and this created a demand. This is where De Beers enters. Who has heard of De Beers? Most of you. Okay. As I was saying before, diamonds initially were only valued for their beauty. They had no other value. Now they do, right? Now we can use them in tools. But prior to the 18th century, maybe the 19th century, they had no other purpose other than beauty. Their value was because they were scarce. That's it. They were valuable because they were pretty and scarce. But in 1870, huge deposits of diamonds were discovered in South Africa. All of a sudden, they're not rare anymore. This created a bit of a problem. You see, when these mines were first discovered, a lot of bankers in Great Britain financed explorations into South Africa to find more mines. And all of a sudden, a lot of mines are being found that are producing a lot of diamonds. And the financiers looked at this and went, wait a minute, we got a problem. Diamonds are no longer rare. They have no real value. Price is going to plummet. We're not going to get a return on investment. What can we do? What can they do? They came together and formed De Beers Consolidated Mines Ltd. Every single mine in South Africa was now controlled by De Beers. Every single mine. Now you have what's called a monopoly. It's one beast with multiple heads. What does that mean? Well, they want to give off the appearance that they're not a monopoly. How do they achieve this? By creating different companies in different parts of the world to make the appearance that there's competition, that it's not a monopoly. Even in Africa, they had two different companies. Why? To separate themselves from white South Africa, so that there could be the facade that, hey, there's competition. We're not the same company that is producing the diamonds. We are a different company that is polishing them and selling them. There's competition. But in reality, all these companies are owned 100% by De Beers. Now De Beers controls 100% or close to 100% of the supply of diamonds in the world. Close to 100% of the supply. They control the mines, the polishing, the negotiation, and ultimately the price. Because they have a monopoly, they can tell you that a 1 carat diamond is worth $5,000, whatever, because they have a monopoly. If only they could control the demand. That can't be done, can it? Maybe it can. They set out to instill in the general population that a diamond equates to love. That a diamond equates to romance. The bigger the diamond, the bigger the love. They also had a second goal. They wanted to instill in the general mind that diamonds are forever. Why? Because diamonds don't typically get destroyed. They don't want you reselling your diamond. Diamonds are forever. The diamond that your grandma had, you must hold on to. You can't sell it. We'll come back to that point in a second. The campaign. September 1938, Mr. Oppenheimer, the son of one of the founders of De Beers, meets with a company in New York to launch a mass campaign to change the mind of Americans. These are quotes directly from their documents that have now been exposed. Influence social attitudes of the public at large and thereby channel American spending toward larger and more expensive diamonds. Strengthen the association in the public's mind of diamonds with romance. 3, inculcate in young men the idea that diamonds were a gift of love. Prior to this, that wasn't the case. People got married without diamonds. They may have gotten married with engagement rings and maybe a wedding band, but never diamonds. This is the beginning of the diamond revolution, if you will. The larger and finer the diamond, the greater the expression of love. How can they achieve this? How? Around this time, there was a marvelous invention that I like to refer to as the boob tube. Motion pictures. They go to Hollywood and they give every starlet a diamond. And they make sure that it is visible in the shots, in the love scenes. This didn't happen by coincidence. They gave movie stars diamonds to wear around town, and then they made sure that they were photographed wearing these diamonds, and then they published these photographs in magazines. But they made sure that the diamonds were in the pictures. It wasn't like, oh, no, put your hand up here so that they can see it. They were there to make sure this was happening. Fashion designers were instructed to tell the general public that the new trend was diamonds. And they did it. I'm sure they got some kickbacks. They even enlisted the royal family in Britain without them even knowing. They took the Queen of Britain to the mines of South Africa on a tour that was greatly publicized, and at the end they gave her a great big diamond that again was greatly publicized. So what are people hearing? What's getting into their heads without them even knowing? They would buy ads in popular magazines where they would put a Picasso next to a diamond. People aren't even aware of the fact that they're being indoctrinated. This is the worst part. They actually traveled the United States going to high schools. And they would go and talk to 15 and 16-year-old girls about the value of diamond and the relationship to love. And the teachers and students and the schools would allow this. This happened in America. And the best part, they never had to say the name De Beers. They never mentioned a company. They never said, buy from us. Why? Because if you're buying a diamond, you're buying it from De Beers. The greatest campaign of all time, De Beers. The result? In 20 years, this was a fact in America. A diamond ring is considered a necessity to engagements by virtually everyone in America. This is a quote from 1959. When they were done with America, they took on Japan. In Japan, from 1959 to 1981, they went from 0 diamond rings to 60% of the women wearing diamond rings. That's how successful this campaign was. There were many others. I won't go into details. The ever-growing love ring. You're married, you don't need a ring anymore because you're engaged. Well, you know what, 10-year anniversary comes around, 15, whatever. The ever-growing love ring. That was another campaign. Another one. Side note, side story. Russia discovers diamonds. We're going to compete against De Beers. De Beers goes, wait a minute, let's talk behind closed doors. They made a pact. Said, you know what, let's all distribute through one channel. Matter of fact, I'll buy all your diamonds so that I can control the price. Fine. De Beers was hoping that the supply coming from Russia would diminish and wouldn't have to worry about them anymore, but it kept going up and up. The problem was, most of those diamonds were less than half a carat. What's happening in America? Bigger is better, bigger is better. Now, De Beers has tons of little diamonds that they don't know what to do with. Enter color, cut, and clarity. You guys did your homework, yes? All of a sudden, it's not just the size anymore. You remember you told us about this? Now it's color, cut, and clarity. Now, little diamonds have value too. They're as good as the big diamonds. Strategy to sell small diamonds. As if that wasn't enough, they come up with the eternity ring. Moms who have been married for a long time, they've already gotten the ever-growing love ring. Oh, now you need the eternity ring with 25 little rings to demonstrate your love for your children, your grandchildren. Another campaign. There are 500 million carats of gold, of diamonds, right now in the world. If everybody was to say, you know what, I'm done with diamonds, I'm going to sell it, De Beers would be out of business like that, because they can only produce about 50 million carats per year. They also buy diamonds back from wholesalers when there's too much and they're afraid there's going to be too many diamonds on the market. The dark side of diamonds. Yes, there is a dark side. Miners work for pennies a day, and this all has been documented, and I'm going to send you guys links where you can go verify these facts. They work in extremely dangerous conditions. Many live away from home in shanties. And this is a big one. We're going to see some pictures about that. Diamonds have directly funded several wars in Africa. There are up to 1 million miners living in poverty. We're going to see some pictures. And here's the sad part. Most of the profit goes to middlemen or De Beers. Truth about diamonds. There are wars right now being funded by the diamond industry. Great documentary. I'm going to send you the link. These are the lives that have been lost in the different countries because of diamond conflict. The second line depicts the percentage of diamond profits that are being controlled by the rebels. Rebels are mostly funded by diamonds, by the diamond sale. Some of these are pretty graphic, especially the last one, so I'll warn you before the last one comes up. Children often get involved in the mining process. As you can see, children, children, and children. And this is one of the best things that could happen to them, because a lot of times they get recruited to be children soldiers. Work conditions are horrible. You don't even know who the good guys are. A lot of times it's the rebels who are making sure that you are doing your job. A lot of times it's the government who is whipping you into mining these diamonds. This one really struck a nerve, I don't know why, so I had to put it up. A penny for your backs. The real victim, right here. Leave that, don't look up. These are the people who are pulling the diamonds from the earth so that you, my fellow Americans, can walk around with a diamond engagement ring. Quiz time. Are diamonds a girl's best friend? You can look up now. Anybody? Why do we think diamonds are forever?
Marketing.
Are diamond rings a must-have for an engagement ring? Can you think of a single reason why you'd want to buy a diamond? Anybody? But what can I do? Stop buying diamonds. It's that simple. And spread the word. But what if you love bling, right? I wore my cubic zirconia today. I paid $3 for this. And last night I put it right next to my wife's wedding band. I am guilty. I bought my wife a diamond ring when I was engaged back in 2000. I cleaned them both and I put them right next to each other. And to the naked eye, you cannot tell them apart. This is $3 and it hurt nobody. My wife's was, I don't even know how many thousands of dollars I spent. The concept that you must spend 2 months, 3 months worth of De Beers, don't do it. There are many alternatives. If you must have a diamond, you can have a lab diamond. Everything is identical. It's not synthetic. It's the exact same thing. And it will cost you anywhere between 70 to 80% of what a real diamond will cost you, and there's no blood behind it. I will be sending you this. I was going to have a printout, but I didn't want to waste paper. I did, however, print out 5 of these. Very, very interesting. I have them right there. If anybody wants to take one with you, please do so. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with 5 copies that I don't know what to do with. But I will be sending you this information via email after this meeting. Mr. Toastmaster.